Hi everyone, it's Diane with Batik, and today is Fabric Friday. It is September. Oh my goodness gracious. I can't believe it is September, and I would say the last couple of days, I got to give my weather report. It has finally become fall. And I'm not saying that because the trees are losing their leaves or changing color, but they are starting. But it's cooler. It is now the other day I woke up and it was at 40s in the morning, and it's been in the 70s. So these are like the perfect days here in North Dakota. They're just beautiful, where the wind isn't blowing so terribly. All of the crops are starting to really turn, and then they're going to come off the fields. And it's just, I don't know, it's just really beautiful. So, and I have to say it was quite different in Minneapolis last weekend. And I want to thank you guys. Last weekend was our Labor Day weekend event sale. And thank you so much for following us, for supporting us, and making that weekend sale such a success. Bruce and I took a few days for ourselves, and we've actually kind of extended it almost to today as well. We needed a little bit of a break, kind of a mental break, a physical break, just to kind of breathe a little bit. And we spent the Labor Day weekend at my sister's in Coon Rapids, Minnesota, where it was sweltering, absolutely sweltering. And went to the Minnesota State Fair on Sunday. We did not do our long day because it was just too hot. It was 100 degrees and you felt like you were in an oven. But it still is fun to see all the animals and all the people and the great food and the weird stuff that you can eat. Just the Minnesota State Fair is fantastic. But I would have to say the best part of it all was we spent time helping my niece and her husband and two little boys move from their starter home to a bigger home. You know, when you kind of go through these transitions in your life, it was great to be part of it. It's a lot of work to move somebody, especially a whole household. They did have movers and they'd been doing a little bit along the way, but just to get everything over into their house, and they're going to be busy forever trying to get everything unpacked and organized. And it's just such a great time in their life anyway, just to expand and get some breathing room in a bigger house. And it made me think about Bruce and I hadn't moved in 22 years. We have been here now in North Dakota. We moved from New Jersey to North Dakota and then started Batik about 19 years ago. I think it is 18, 19 years ago. And I still have boxes in the garage that we have not opened, believe it or not. But we're slowly getting through all of those things. So in addition to my changing all my closets, I don't know about you guys, but in September, I go through my clothes. And this year, I'm really doing it. I am getting rid of everything that no longer fits. I'm getting everything that just you can't even take to a thrift store or Goodwill or whatever. And I'm throwing it or using it for rags, and the rest of it is out the door. It's time to be able to put a hanger in my closet and know that I'm actually going to use what I have in my closet. So September is my month to do that. So hopefully you guys are doing that as well. And I think it's also a great time just to transition from your warm weather summer clothes to cooler fall clothes and into the winter season, especially up here in the north portion of the United States anyway. It's just beautiful weather right now. 70s at night, or 70s during the day, and 40s and 50s at night. So it's been wonderful. So that was last weekend. Now we're September, and we've got a lot of stuff going on in September and October from an inventory perspective. So I first want to take you through a little bit about our inventory. We are expecting a collection of new backings, our 115-inch wide Batik Cottons, to be arriving here within a couple of weeks. And I'm going to take you through and show you all of the 24 new, well, not all of the 24, because I'm working off of approval samples because the yardage isn't here and it's all new. So I'll show you, I think it's 20 different fabrics today, so you can see what's new. They're going to be on our website for pre-orders. So just know that within a couple of weeks, we will be receiving those. The container is right now being inspected and all that great stuff. And then it will hopefully get clear customs and make its way up here. And then also in that same shipment, we're going to be receiving new Batik Rayon. And we'll talk about that next week. But right now, we're going to talk about our 115-inch wide Batik Cotton. And in addition to that, docking in Los Angeles the middle of September, so I think it's like the end of next week, will be Rayon replenishment, our lightweight canvas replenishment, as well as our new 8-ounce canvas will be docking. And then, I mean, we have so many shipments. So then the one after that will be more nuanced gradation batiks. We are really running out of a lot of our nuanced gradations. And so if you see some things that show as out of stock, I will put some of those back as available to pre-order. Just know that we can't ship those out until middle of October. And then we're also going to get more replenishment of canvas and on a future shipment as well. So there's a lot when it comes to inventory that is going on. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to jump over real quickly, because I think you're probably anxious to see some of our new 115-inch wide Batik Cotton. So I'm going to jump over there right now. I'm going to do an overhead to show you each one of the newest fabrics. I'm really excited to introduce 20 new 115-inch wide Batik Cotton fabrics. And the 20 fabrics are made up of 3 different motifs. The Valhalla motif, which we have in inventory right now in our 115-inch wide collection. We also have a few of the flock together motif with the birds and the vines, but we're adding a few more shades. And then we also have a brand new motif, which is called Sacred Branches. And this is really going to be so fun to share. So I'm going to start out by showing you each one of the fabrics in the Valhalla motif. This shade is our Mint Garden, and just a mix of very delicate shades of blues and greens. Then we have, I love the name of this one, it's called Lamb Chop, and it's pinks and blues, similar blues to what's with the green, only it has the hints of lilac and pink. I love a bold green, and so this shade is called Paradise Green. Kind of bright. This goes very well, by the way, with our mint gradation, where it transitions from a lighter minty shade into a darker green. It's actually a combination of that and our fairway. And then we have New Lake. This is a mixture of blues with a little hint of green and really, really dark, dark blue. As well as a fan favorite, the Navy Jewel. This has a little bit more blue than the purple in it that we currently have as a Navy Jewel color. I might have to try and find another one of those swatches and compare the two. But this one is mostly blue with a deep, deep blue background. So for Valhalla, these are the newest shades of our 115-inch wide Batik Cotton. Let's jump over to Flock Together. The first multi-shade fabric is called Honeysuckle Garden. And I'm going to open this one up a little bit bigger so you can kind of see all the different shades. This is a rich, really, really dark, deeply saturated colorway of yellows and blues and strawberries, and it works into an orange. So it's just a multicolored, this is just a beautiful, I think, beautiful backing for any really rich or bold quilt top that you might have. I also see this just as being a pillow or any accent that you might have for a bedroom or a living room. Again, this is called Honeysuckle Garden. The next two that I'm going to share with you kind of side by side so that you can see the difference in color. This here is called Jubilee Red. Okay. And the colorway over here is called Bright Cranberry. So I don't know if you can see the difference in the shading here, but definitely more of that cranberry red versus kind of this tone here goes more towards the pink family. Okay. I love these shades. They're so bold. And this particular motif, it's so active. And I think that it really shows beautifully when we're working with a tone-on-tone colorway. And you can see the motif in this fabric so much better than you can in the multicolored option there. And this is our colorway of Blue Blood and Deep Royal Blue. I love this. It's very similar to Twilight Blue, but not as dusty. And I believe that the shades inside this motif are very similar to the blue in Blue Blood. And you can kind of see how that tone is very similar. And then we have a deeper blue, which is called Midnight Navy. And Midnight Navy has a little bit of purple splotched kind of throughout this particular fabric. So these are the 6 new shades of Flock Together. And our latest and greatest, which is the newest motif called Sacred Branch. And I'm going to open this one wide up so you can kind of wide open so that you can see this. And this colorway is called Forward Fuchsia. And so it has, obviously, all of this fuchsia. There's coral shades throughout the motif. And then there's hints of purple. It's kind of a grape blue purple throughout the fabric as well. Very bold. I love this one. The next shade is called Spa Blue, and it's one of our lighter blue shades. And it's kind of a tone-on-tone as well. There's no additional color ranges in here besides the blue. And this one you can really see the motif. This next one is Navy Teal. This is a rich blue, and it's very similar to the shade of our Deep Wisteria, with the hints of kind of a dusty gray blue, as well as a hints of a little bit of coral running through here as well. Kind of a burgundy, actually, because you can kind of see that if you put the burgundy next to it, you can see the burgundy coming out through those motifs. Really a rich blue. And then we have a green. This is called Starboard Green. Beautiful. I really love this motif. I think it really gives a lot of texture to what you might, if you use this as a quilt backing or a tablecloth. It's just as a rich motif and shades. This is called Passionate Purple for all of our purple lovers out there. And again, there's coral and deep blue. So the background base of this fabric is blue with all of this beautiful purple. And next we have Jardin is the color. Let me see if I can open this one up. And it's an olivey green with shades of, it's kind of a, really more of a crimsony red. It's a lighter crimsony red in here. But I love the shade of olive. And then we have Houseplant. This is a beautiful green as well. And we've called this one Houseplant because it really just has kind of a, if you think of your plants that you have in your house, I'm trying to grow a bunch myself right now. They have this shade of green. It's kind of a limey green to it. And here is Auburn. This shade we had years ago, Auburn, and I don't know why we aren't producing it, and we just decided this motif lends itself beautifully to the color combinations, and by putting kind of that, it's kind of an oceany blue-green in the motif, you can really, really see that motif, and it just makes it a little bit more delicate, I think. And this is like a burnt brown, like a deep brown. I think I have a project for this one. And then we have Turkish Coffee, which is a dark, rich brown with hints of what I would call more of a charcoal. If you can see those little spots kind of going through here. But I love this Turkish Coffee, a deep, deep brown. So here are all of the shades of our newest motif called Sacred Branch in our 115-inch wide Batik Cotton collection. I really love each one of those fabrics, and it's going to be fun to share each one of those with you throughout the rest of the year and into the future. And this is why we're so excited to receive the shipments when we know that they've docked and they're going through customs, is just the anticipation of getting the yardage in-house and crossing our fingers that everything turned out the way that our approval samples were shared with us. So we're excited about that. The other thing that I'm going to do over the next couple of weeks is I haven't taken very much time to change out and update our cotton combos. On our website, under the fabric tab, there is an option for cotton packs and cotton combination packs, where we have selected 2 fabrics out of our cotton collection that go together, or 3 fabrics that go together. And the 3 fabric combinations are typically used for any bag project or notion or accessory project if you're making a cosmetic bag or a handbag, where you need a main fabric, a coordinate, kind of to finish everything off, and then a lining. And so we put together those combinations for you to make it easier for you to select fabrics that already really look good together. And because that's often a question that we get, is what goes with what? Does the dusty denim go with twilight blue? Does the navy jewel go with lake? What goes with what? And I think it really helps just to get the conversation started if we can put some of these packs up. And of course, our combo packs are less expensive than buying each one of them individually because you're buying more than one thing. So I will take some time to incorporate these latest and greatest fabrics into our cotton combos as well. Okay, since I'm kind of on the topic of cotton, I'm going to share with you 2 things. One is a book, and the other are where we're headed with a lot of fun September ideas when it comes to cotton. So let's jump into this book. I purchased this book, one, on a recommendation from another kind of a handbag designer who I saw this book and she introduced this book. And I thought to myself, I need this book. It is called Quilt Your Own Adventure. First of all, Quilt Your Own Adventure gives me the idea that it's going to give me a lot of leeway to do what I kind of want to do with my own design elements. It's kind of how I read that title. And then I looked at the quilt that's on the front of this book and thought, how fun is this quilt? And I'm not normally a modern quilter. I'm more kind of a traditional quilter, but yet I really love working with modern kind of influences. And the cover here isn't the physical quilt, but it's image of it if it were finished. And it just gave me some ideas for, wow, how to do some things that aren't always so perfect, like 4 stars and 4 corners. It just gave me this idea of how to be creative. So let's go through this book just a little bit, and I'm going to share some of the ideas inside and see if it's something that you would enjoy. And I have to tell you that when the other word on the front of this book was with math tables, as in this book does the math for you, which I don't know about you, but that certainly helps me out a lot. So let's jump over. I'm going to put the overhead back on, and we're going to take a little stroll through this book. Quilt Your Own Adventure. And it does talk about being modern quilt blocks and layouts and with math tables, which is exactly what I need in my world of quilting. Table of contents, of course, is very basic, where you talk about getting started, determining the layout that you really want with your quilt, be creative. There's a lot of encouragement in this book and gives you a lot of, I kind of call it traditional blocks, traditional layouts that you're adding your modern twist to. And I think a lot of the modern comes from how we use our colors, how we use our motifs, how we use just the different blocks together. And there really is no right or wrong. I just think it just gives you the creativity to do pretty much anything with your quilt designs. Definitely go through the how to use this book and working with different block sizes. How big do you want your quilt? You know, picking your set of blocks that you really love and incorporating everything together with the fabric that you'd like for your project. There's also a lot of tips in here on how to sew, which is good for a new sewist as well as even if you're an experienced quilter. I think it's really fun sometimes to learn from others who, you know, maybe they have a different technique or something that you've never tried before. And so I really like reading different tips and tricks as well. But this book, it also has a lot of different quilt top layouts. So whether or not you want something that has patches or bullseye look, log cabin, very traditional log cabin look, but adding your own flair to it. And I like how this book actually works in basic colors. There's no fabric motif that's going to kind of lead you astray to something. It's just different ways to show the blocks with different basic colorways. And this offset look, which is the basis for the cover of this book itself. Each one of those quilt layouts is also described in detail with each one of the sizes. So if you would like a baby quilt, a throw, a twin, or a queen, it shows you how many individual blocks you might need and the size that results from those block requirements. So everything is really, it's laid out really simply, which I really, really love. And then it includes a group of blocks, basic blocks. So you have your half square triangle blocks, you have all these different intricate blocks. But as you can see, each block, if you look at each one individually, they're very basic. It's like taking a very complicated quilt and bringing it all the way down and working each individual block. Okay, there's 30 different blocks, and I picked one that I thought was really kind of fun. And that is one of my favorites, actually, is block, actually, I'm going to jump back here. No, it was block 28 is what I wanted to share with you. Look at this block. It's just a simple block. It's almost like a flying geese, but not quite. And what I love about this is it gives you ideas for this block will look really fun with these other blocks. And it teaches you how to make the block. And then let's say we have this center block example. So if you were to put 4 of those blocks together, this is the block you would yield. And this makes me think of something a lot more complicated than that, your starting block. And it almost looks like a flower. So depending on what you have as your blocks around it, this could be a swirly block flower quilt. Could be absolutely beautiful. And then you could also see how this block will work into a border by positioning the block in different directions. So every one of those 30 blocks is represented that way in this book. Okay. Now we get to our favorite part, which is the math. So I'm going to jump back over to block number 28, and it describes fabric 1, fabric 2, and if you are looking for a 9 1/4 inch block, what fabric do you need? What are your requirements for each one of those blocks? And so that's for one block. And then if we want to make 18 of those blocks, this is how much fabric we need. It's really great. Math. You can't, each one of these blocks, to be able to have all of this information right in front of you is wonderful. And yes, there's other tools. There's other PDFs that we can download out there that give you a lot of information. But the way this is laid out is just spectacular. And then at the end of the book, we get to see all of the different ways that these blocks can be put together. So where we started in the front with our patches, our bullseye, which was just a simple square around each one of the square layers, quadrants, here's our offset, log cabin. Look how different a log cabin can look simply by putting a different block in what would be a traditional strip. And then of course there's this really, really fun sampler where you can make one of each one of the blocks. It's just really a well done book, and I think you are truly going to enjoy this book. I think that's beautiful. Pick your colors, work within your color spectrum, and just imagine what these quilts can look like. It's just spectacular. So definitely get your hands on this book, and I am going to make a quilt for my niece in her new home. She asked me to make a quilt for their stairway going upstairs. There's a very, very large wall, and I think I'm going to try to make something really, really fun using this technique. September is a busy month, and everybody is getting back to school if you haven't already. And we're just sort of, I don't know, I think it's one of these transition months. I've always said that about September. And so for me, besides doing some work at my house, trying to clean out my closet, like I mentioned earlier, here at the office, we are trying to do a lot of cleanup work. You know, when we've been home now for 3 years since the pandemic started and haven't traveled, and I think our office has really sort of become a little bit of a clubhouse. And if I were to ask Kathy that question, she would say, shh, don't tell anyone. But we have been working really hard at organizing all of our bolt ends and small cuts of cotton, as well as the rayon and the jersey and the linen and the canvas, basically any one of our fabric collections, but our cotton has really been neglected. And so when we cut these big, large backings from our 115-inch wide fabric, let's say we start with 13 yards on a bolt, we may end up with 22 inches or 18 inches or I don't know, 3/4 of a yard, but it's full width at 115. Most of those fabrics cuts, if it's not less than 18 inches, is on our sale link on our website. So if you feel like you can cut jelly rolls or binding strips or borders or whatever out of 22 inches of 115-inch wide fabric, definitely stay on our sale page on our website, because that's where all of those fabrics will be posted. Anything larger than a yard or a yard and a quarter is available on our website anytime. It's just that in-betweeny size of 18 inches, which is a half a yard, 18 inches to a yard, that is what we put in our sales section because we want you to have the benefit of purchasing that particular piece of fabric. But if it's 18 inches or smaller, we have to put it in something. So we cut that fabric up into fat quarters, into half yards, into 10-inch squares, into jelly rolls, which are 2.5-inch strips. And I'm not going to be doing any 5-inch squares. I just wanted to stick to something that was a little bit bigger, that wasn't so labor intensive. And so we've been busy cutting and folding, and we have tons of fat quarters, half yards, 1 yard cuts, 3/4 yard cuts, all at 45 inches, as well as we're starting to put together 10-inch square packs, and they are color coordinated. So these are going to be our mystery packs. But for example, these are the fall shades. So they're just a great group of what I consider fall shades. And we have a bunch. I've just kind of grabbed a couple of groupings here from our work table. Here's a bunch of brights that will make up a 10-inch square pack. And again, all of these are also going to be available as 2.5-inch strip packs for those of you who love 2.5-inch strips. We also have a blue collection of fabrics, and there might be some other additional colorways. I am hesitating to do a neutrals, which is all of our lights. But we'll see what we end up with because we have so much fabric that we have to cut up, and we're just kind of getting going with it. But as we progress and get enough to put on our website, you will see that, and we'll do a live just specifically on this collection, just because I think it's great for you guys to see that we have these on the website, and they're all going to be considered mystery packs and bundles, and you're going to love it. So stay tuned for that. So we've been really trying really hard to clean up the office and to get everything out there to be sellable. As for garments, I don't know, I've just looked at some new patterns the other day, and I've added the Batik 6765 to our website. Look at that beautiful, elegant top. And I'm looking specifically at the longer sleeve top with it's a faux wrap front. And the back of this garment is just a simple, there's a seam that runs down the back, and it's just a simple button closure at the neckline. So it's a traditional top with a faux wrap front that has 2 different style wraps. So my first inclination was to make this out of a rayon, and then I talked myself out of it and decided I would really love to use our linen. And so I selected our Gardenista Vine in the shade of Firecracker Red as the garment fabric, and have it all washed up, and Kathy is actually going to put this one together. And so I'm going to be making this view. I shouldn't say I'm going to be, Kathy is going to be. This is the view, but we're going to use this wrap front, which is slightly longer. And I think it's just going to be so neat. And then I decided, you know something, we really had a great time when we did make the same top out of linen and rayon. So I've decided that we are going to make a second one, and I have to pick a rayon fabric. So if you have a favorite rayon that you think I should make this particular garment out of, let me know. I'm thinking I need to start planning for Thanksgiving. I need to start planning for Christmas, for holiday events. And so I want something really stylish to make now. You know, with it being September, I really want to sew for a purpose. And I think our holidays coming up for Thanksgiving and Christmas will really give me that drive. So that's going to be fun. So this is the Batik 6765, and this is already on our website as well. Okay, but I think that linen is just going to be so much fun to work with. I was a little hesitant on the drape, but I think it's going to be really beautiful. The second garment that I have planned so far is a dress, and this is the McCall's 7970. And look at this dress. And I'm thinking not the long version of this, probably just kind of this one here, but not the long version. But I really like the flow of this dress. It's very drapey and fluid, and it has some interesting piecing to it. But I don't know, I just think, again, this is going to be a beautiful holiday dress. And earlier on, when I was talking about our inventory, we're getting our new backing fabric in a couple weeks. We're also getting a collection of new rayon. And one of the new rayon fabrics, we received a large yardage of this rayon, and it is the flocked together motif. I washed this and I serged up the edge of it before I washed it, but this is the color of ruby red, and I think this dress will be absolutely gorgeous with this fabric. And I have enough yardage to make a pretty long version of it. I don't think I have enough to go all the way to the floor, but I just think it's going to be great. And I know I say that a lot, but that is my plan for September. So that's my second garment. And I have not yet decided on what bag project we're going to work on. So that, give me some heads up on something that you would like me to work on for a bag project. And it can be a Bayani project, a noodle head project. If you have something out there that you think would be fantastic that we need to add to our collection of things, just let me know. I think it would be really, really fun to work on something that is brand new. And the last thing I want to share with you today is it is National Sewing Month. And for those of you who aren't aware of National Sewing Month, nationalsewingmonth.org is a great website that has a few free patterns on it to encourage some sewing projects. It also, it's sponsored by the Sewing and Craft Alliance as well as the American Sewing Guild. And I'm a member of the American Sewing Guild. And if any of you are, reach out to us, because I'm pretty sure it's still there, but on their website, we have a discount code for any member of the American Sewing Guild. You can use that discount code anytime. It is always available to anyone that is a member of the American Sewing Guild. You just need to know the code. And the only way to know that code is if you're on their website and look for vendors and sponsors, and you will find that information. If you don't, reach out to us and we'll help you out with that as well. But I find the American Sewing Guild to be amazingly helpful, amazingly welcoming, and they just have a great way of sharing sewing information, and the education is wonderful. They have an annual convention, and you can learn so many different things. And if you're a member of a local chapter, I hope you're involved in it. We don't have a local chapter here in North Dakota. Our closest chapter is in Minneapolis. And so I'm a member of the Minneapolis one, but it's impossible for me to get there for any physical meetings, but it's nice to be involved nonetheless. So check out those organizations as well as that website for the nationalsewingmonth.org and see what you can find. I think it's just great to get involved with different things. They have some great information. And as a fun thing to do for National Sewing Month, we decided that, we don't really focus on sewing and quilting notions very much. I didn't realize how little I do. We use our favorite scissors when we're sewing, our favorite rulers, our favorite needles, the stay tape. I use all of these pressing cloths, like a seam roll and a ham, and just, I could go on and on and on for 10 minutes about all the different notions that are available to make our sewing lives a lot easier, and I have a rack of them over here. So I think this month what we're going to do is for the entire month of September, since it is National Sewing Month, we will keep our notions on special for 20% off the entire month. So if there's anything that you're looking to purchase, you really should take advantage of it. And I just think it's a great way to add those special little notions to your collection to make your life a little bit easier. And I think I'll talk a little bit about more of these notions as the month goes along. So it's just exciting. I think National Quilting Month is in March. And so we have to kind of work our way towards the quilting aspect of everything in March of next year. But sewing to me means anything. Anything that is hand sewing, anything that is sewing with a machine, with a serger, whatever it happens to be, is National Sewing Month. So I don't relate it simply to garments, but to anything you sew. This is our Fabric Friday for September 8th, and we hope you enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend, and start cleaning out your closets. It's time to move that warm weather clothing into cool weather clothing. Have a great weekend and keep sewing, smiling, and sharing.